Hello everyone, howdy, hi, welcome back to my channel and today's video. I thought it was time for a little life update. You have seen a lot of me and what the last few weeks of my life have looked like, and I wanted to check in and just chit chat with you all as we enter the new year season. And as my last video talked about, the concept of locking in, buckling down, doing the winter arc. I will just quickly recap what we talked about in that video. If you haven't seen it and you want to watch it, warning, it's a very chatty vlog. I essentially see my version of the winter arc being doing my morning routine, doing my weekly routine, doing my night routine, and moving my body in some way every single day. And my goal is to honor that going into the new year. Now, technically, winter is not started yet, and it won't be finished by January 1st. But essentially, in January, I want to transition into working myself a little bit harder. Kind of by then, hopefully the habits will have formed, even though I have a theory that if you're like me and you potentially have ADHD and it's undiagnosed and unmedicated, that whole 30-day rule and the whole forming habits does not apply to you, but that's just my own conspiracy theory. I have to work extra hard, which is why I want to put it into my routine daily and focused with morning routine, night routine, exercise, and then every week honoring cleaning the apartment, doing my weekly reset, making sure I have my groceries for the week, taking out the trash, making sure I'm washing my car, just things so that my space is clean and feels good so that I feel good. And mentally, that helps too. So that was the quick recap of what that video was. And I will say, I forgot to tell you all the story. So as you all know, the government, as of the time of filming this, November 4th, is shut down for the United States of America. And that impacts a lot of different agencies, a lot of different individuals. It has impacted me in my own life. And so you all have probably seen, I've joked about being unemployed. I have many people in my life who are either considered expected, which means you're working without pay, or you're furloughed, which means you're just kind of not at work until the government passes the funds to reopen. And so the air traffic control of JFK Airport was short-staffed. And while in the middle of my flight home, they pretty much said, JFK is closed. We don't have enough fuel to wait for them to open, so we're gonna take you all to LaGuardia. We get to LaGuardia, and at first they were gonna take our bags and send them back to JFK, even though we were at LaGuardia. And that originally became, oh, well, we'll give you a voucher for an Uber to go get your bags. Then that became, we're just gonna empty your bags here. And then that became, oh, but if you were staying at the hotel at JFK, or if your cars are at JFK, or for any reason you were supposed to be at JFK, like a connecting flight, things like that, since we gave you your bags, we're not covering the Uber. The Ubers started at $120. I wanna say this flight I got on a really good deal, and I got like for $100. So I was already just like, the Uber to the airport I was supposed to go to is cheaper, or more expensive, excuse me, than the flight that was cheaper. What's going on here? And so I was really kind. I waited like an extra hour to speak with the representative at baggage claim. I pretty much explained to her what I was told by the flight crew, what I was told by the desk agent, and that I understand what she's telling us, that because our bags are here, they're not covering the voucher. But here's my situation. My car is at JFK, and I paid less for the flight than I would be paying for this Uber. And she pretty much probably was at that point where this is someone who's really kind and really patient with me. She gave me the voucher. So I did not get to JFK from LaGuardia until I want to say 1:30 in the morning. And then with traffic and everything else going on, because New York City does not sleep and construction's usually happening those times of morning. That's happened to me before trying to get to a 5 a.m. flight. I've gotten caught in 2 a.m. traffic. I did not get home until about 3:30 in the morning, and then I did not get in bed until about 4:30 in the morning. And yeah, I just knew that I was not getting up early, and any plans I had to be delayed. So that's the full story that I kept saying I would tell you all, that I forgot to tell you all. So since this is more of like a life update video, that essentially covers two birds with the one stone of this story time and why that even happened in the first place. So for me, I think for the rest of this year, content you can expect from me is, as you all may or may not know, I created a Substack for my pen name. I am working on a monthly podcast that focuses on stories and mysteries and true crime, and I already have one episode out. I don't think I've promoted it per se because I still am working on it. Once episode 2 is available and once I know it's been synced up so that it's available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, I will start sharing it more. So I am in the process of working on episode 2 of that podcast. It will be a monthly podcast, and it's just talking about topics that interest me because, as I said in some past videos, I just don't find myself that interesting that I don't think all my content needs to be about me. And originally this account was going to just be where I promote music and acting projects and things like that. So I ultimately decided, you know what, vlogs are fun. And for the rest of this year specifically, any vlog-esque things I have going on in my life, whether it's staycations, whether it's trips, anything like that, from now until going into 2026, I will post those. And any videos like this where it's sit down and just chit chat, I know some of you all like that, so I will still do those videos too. Speaking of 2026, I know a lot of you follow me for the different things I do and my different creative outlets, and I'm so thankful that you all are patient with me, especially those of you who've been with me since 2017. I have evolved and changed and gone through so much as a person since then, but I do genuinely think the dreams have always been the same, even if my focus has not always been there, even if my drive has not always been there. There's always been that same end goal. And I'm having that realization with myself because looking towards the new year, I have roughly like 5 main goals. I want to travel. I potentially want to further my education. I potentially want to go all in with my creative career. I want to invest more in my hobbies and obviously investing more in myself. And that looks like multiple different things, but to keep it brief and to again give you that quick little life update, I did make what I'm calling the 24-week year. You've probably heard of the 12-week year. I have not read the book. I kind of Googled a synopsis of the concept. And for me, the 24-week year is how I'm going to go all in and the beginning of the next year for my creative projects. And what that means is for the different facets of my life and the things I'm passionate about, I have 1 to 3 projects per avenue that I want to tackle over the course of 2026, but I want to go into them head on so that by the end of next year, it's not December and I'm thinking, oh, I wanted to do all these things, but I haven't even started. So what that looks like is, for example, music and working on 3 songs in the next year. What that looks like with acting and trying to book 5 forms of acting jobs in the next year. What that looks like with writing and completing the children's book and the poetry book and part 2 of my self-help workbook series in the next year. So that's like 3 projects. I also may consider submitting to modeling agencies. I haven't fully decided on that, but that kind of just comes hand in hand with, will I lose weight? I don't know, I'm kind of in a plateau again. I was in a plateau for the first half of this year and I'm currently in a new plateau because I lost maybe like 4 pounds and I was like, yes, we're making progress. And then I haven't, like it's been 2 weeks and I'm still at that same weight 2 weeks later, even though I don't know, I might have to cut everything out and just eat like raw whole foods, as the muscle mommies and the bodybuilding bros say. But I think once I hit like a size 10, I may consider plus size modeling. And if I lose more weight, because I think another realistic thing I have to tell myself is, yes, I have this like big dream, big goal that I've had since I was a kid. But realistically, if my body's meant to sit at like an 8-10 and I'm just meant to be plus size, I might accept it if I'm the healthiest and most in shape 8-10 you've ever seen. Like if we've got muscle definition, we feel strong, our arms are toned, you know what I mean? Like it's one thing to be what they call skinny fat, or you don't have like the muscle definition, but if you're that size and you have the muscle definition, completely different. And I'm at a place where I've accepted that too. So little projects like that. I essentially have, again, what I'm calling the 24-week year, and I want to go all in, and I've already journaled all this. So that's why I said with my content creation, you're just kind of getting whatever's going in my life through 2025, and then you may not see me for a while in 2026, but you may see the behind the scenes, or you may see the completed projects as they come out. And as the year goes on and as I complete these tasks and goals, I may begin posting more casually like I have been again, so that I'm efforting all my time into the things that are really important to me and like jumpstarting all these careers. Because I think for me, I love the idea of being an independent artist. And by that, I don't just mean in music. I mean as an author, I mean as a visual artist and a photographer, I mean as a content creator. I really love my freedom, but I understand that depending on where I want to go, I may have to consider things like management and agencies and signing these deals and just being very, very intentional with what I do. So we'll see what the future holds for me, but that's essentially, if you're following me for any of those other journeys, that's kind of what the update is. 2026, we are doing our 24-week year. And then even if things aren't done by the end of those 24 weeks, we will have hit the ground running. And I think the last point I'll put on that is I am considering, once I start getting quotes and I start working with other artists and I start putting together these portfolios and these projects, if I feel like it's in my best interest to ask for financial help, I may start a GoFundMe for my different projects, or just an overarching like support my artistry situation, because it's tight in New York. I'm just saying. And last but not least, the only thing I can think of update-wise is pageants. Since I have one more shot at Miss America, decided let's give it one last chance. I, for the longest, thought I wouldn't be living in New York anymore, but there's just something so poetic about chasing this dream in one of the hardest states you can chase it in, and in the state where there's the most Miss Americas, and even the concept of like Miss Universe. And oh my gosh, like I'm gonna have to get in the best shape of my life to be up there in a swimsuit, but I've always found those things fun. They've always felt like a sub facet of acting, and like the glitz and glam of the red carpet and the appearances and the interviews. And it's also just a great skill builder. Regardless, even if I wanted to be a doctor or a federal judge or an accountant or a lawyer, the skills that pageantry has taught me with appearance and style and public speaking and interview and wanting to be a good presenter with your talent and the essence of confidence and stage presence, even though it looks different depending on what you want to do with your life, the skills you build in pageantry, and even I would argue as a Girl Scout growing up, the skills I learned in Girl Scouts are all fundamental to who I am as a woman. So yes, I am someone who's on the stereotypical path of, oh, she did pageants and now she wants to be an actor and a singer and a model and a content creator and a poet and a writer and a photographer. Still, even if I wanted to be an astrophysicist and a auditor and a mayor, all these skills would still be applicable. And you've seen that with former Miss Americas, former local title holders, former state title holders, former Miss USAs, the current title holders, former Miss Universes, Miss Worlds, Miss Earths. Not all of us go down the artistic path, but we all have the skills that pageantry taught us. So we're giving Miss America one more shot. If you watch some of my past vlogs, you would know I am waiting for a interest meeting I have coming up to see how much time do I have to get some professional headshots taken with a individual I met with Pageant Connections, and getting everything I need and booking that photo shoot, and then just essentially preparing for the first local season. If you watched my past Miss New York vlog, you would know I invested roughly $7,000 into last year, or technically this year's journey. And I think going into this local season, I've always felt it's not me anymore. It's really just my physical appearance, which can be painful to hear for some people, but that's always the kind of honest conversation I've had with myself. So it's really just about trying to get as fit as I can leading up to this first competition, and taking home one of those titles. That's when I'm going to reconnect with the coaches and different organizations and things like that to go all in at the state level. But at most, I'm probably, again, going to buy a photo shoot to get some headshots and maybe some new clothes if the ones I have don't fit, and see what happens, see where the journey takes me. But that also kicks off in 2026. And I think that's everything I wanted to share with you all in this video. Thank you so much for watching. As always, you're so important, you're so loved, you're so blessed. And I just wish you all the best. Again, you'll see more of me throughout the rest of this year as I have things come up in my life that I want to document, and I may be a little bit more MIA within the new year, but just know that's because I'm working on things to get out to you all in the form of books and music and all that fun stuff. So I hope this was a good update. If not, and there's other things you all want to know, you'll just have to comment and ask. I'm a pretty open book, I think. And if you'll excuse me, I need to go vote and run some errands and go edit this at the coffee shop. So until the next time, be safe, take care, and you all will have to let me know. I love this little Lewis, and because I was not home for Halloween, I put him out, but I didn't put up my usual home Halloween decor, but I'm tempted to just leave him there. He's just so cute. Look at him. He looks so good with the rest of that facade. And we're not going to talk about all the fitness stuff that's visible. But if your team Lewis needs to stay where he is, give this video a like. And I will see you in the next one.